What is one thing you will never, ever do? I will never fight again. That's what I told my parole officer after I got out of juvie at 17. I'd spent a year locked up for breaking some dude's nose in a parking lot fight, and I was done. Done with getting angry. Done with throwing punches. Done with being that kid who solved everything with his fists. My grandma cried when I told her. She'd been visiting me every week, bringing me those little bags of chips from the vending machine and telling me I was better than this. And I wanted to believe her. So when I got out, I meant it. No more fighting. I got a job at this boxing gym called Iron Hearts. Sounds tough, but really it was just me mopping floors and cleaning sweat off equipment. The owner, Mr. Carl, gave me a chance when nobody else would. Guy had this thick mustache and always wore the same red polo shirt. He was decent to me, paid me cash under the table, didn't ask too many questions about my record. The gym wasn't fancy. Peeling paint on the walls, speed bags that had seen better days, and this smell of old sweat that never really went away. But it felt safe. Kids would come in after school for boxing lessons, mostly younger boys who looked like they needed somewhere to go. I'd help Mr. Carl with the classes sometimes, showing the little ones how to wrap their hands or throw light punches at the heavy bag. There was this one kid, maybe 12 years old, named Austin. Quiet kid with these big brown eyes who never really talked during class. He'd show up 3 times a week, always wearing the same black hoodie, always looking around like he was waiting for something bad to happen. There were a few others like him too. Nervous kids who didn't laugh much, who flinched when adults raised their voices. I figured they were just shy. Some kids are like that, right? One night I stayed late to finish cleaning. The gym was supposed to be empty, but I heard voices coming from Mr. Carl's office. I was grabbing my jacket from the back room when I accidentally opened the wrong door. Inside, Mr. Carl had Austin backed against his desk. The kid was shaking, and Carl was screaming in his face about money and earning his keep. Then he grabbed Austin's ear and twisted it hard, making the kid cry out. Carl shoved him against the desk so hard that Austin's head bounced off the wood. That's when I saw Carl pull a thick wad of cash out of Austin's pocket. "You earned this the hard way," he said, counting the bills. "Don't forget who keeps the lights on around here. You tell anyone about our little arrangement, and your mom loses her job at the diner. You understand me?" Austin nodded, tears streaming down his face. I stood there frozen, watching this man I'd respected destroy a kid who couldn't fight back. Carl grabbed Austin by the shoulders and said something about next week's fight, about how he better not disappoint the paying customers again. That's when everything clicked. The nervous kids, the cash, the back rooms I wasn't allowed to clean. Carl was running an underground fighting ring with children. I wanted to burst through that door and beat Carl senseless. Every muscle in my body was screaming at me to fight, but I'd made a promise. No more violence, so I waited. I followed Austin outside and got his phone number. Told him I knew what was happening and that I wanted to help. Kid was terrified at first, thought I was working with Carl, but eventually he opened up. Over the next week, I found 3 other boys, all of them between 10 and 13, all of them being forced to fight each other in a basement room behind the gym, while adults bet money on who would win. Carl threatened their families if they talked. Some of these kids had been doing this for months. I gathered everything, video footage from my phone, written statements from the boys, pictures of their bruises, times, and dates. I even recorded Carl talking about the next fight through his office door. Then I called my parole officer and handed it all over. Carl got arrested on a Tuesday morning. I'll never forget the look on his face when the cops walked into the gym. He knew it was me who'd turned him in. Called me a snitch and a traitor as they put the handcuffs on. The parole board asked me why I'd broken curfew to gather evidence, why I'd risked my freedom for a bunch of kids I barely knew. They wanted to know if I understood that I could go back to juvie for violating the terms of my release. I looked them right in the eye and said, I promised I'd never fight again. I never said I wouldn't protect people. They put me back inside for 6 months for breaking curfew, but every single one of those kids is safe now. Austin's mom moved them across town and he's playing soccer instead of getting his face beaten in for gambling money.